Guys, I did it again. I brought back Babe Ruth. This to me is one of my favorite presenters, if not my favorite presenter, because every year, I say this every year, Jorge Capestany, master professional, he
All right.
knocks his presentation out of the park. It is always so good. And I think we got a great topic. Today, we're going to talk about how to beat the big pusher, even when maybe you don't have the skills to blow somebody off the court, but you don't want to then also just relegate yourself to being in 50-ball rallies all day. So I think this is going to be, it's kind of tricky to ask you how to do this, Jorge, but I'm excited to see what you got.
Yeah, I'm excited, guys. So first of all, Peter, thanks again for inviting me back, and thanks again for putting together TennisCon 5 now. Crazy how much stuff you got going and how much content there is. So I'm excited to be, this is an easy thing for me to, be a part of because it's such a great value. So yeah, today's topic is dear and dear to me because I've been coaching 40 years and I had tons of players that struggle against the pusher runner, the retriever, whatever you want to call them, but they don't give you a lot of power and they're a nightmare. Maybe they're a moonballer kind of variation of the pusher. But so I have 6 specific things that I think have really worked. They're tactics you can use against that particular style of player, and that's a lot of what we're going to talk about.
Awesome. Well, what I'm going to do is I know you got a beautiful presentation. I'm going to put it right into the screen and let you take over.
All right. So let me know if you can see my PowerPoint right there.
It is there.
All right. So topic, how to beat big pushers when you don't necessarily have a lot of big weapons. So let's just kind of get going. So I do coach, I coach forever, right? So I've coached this specific issue a ton of times, okay? And it's fairly common. So pushers, they could be also known as moonballers, hackers, retrievers, runners. What we know about them is this. They have generally, this isn't totally exactly right, but generally they don't have a lot of offense. They tend to play mostly from the baseline. That's where they push from. You don't equate a pusher from the guy's always at the net, but he's such a pusher. That doesn't make sense. So we know that they have pretty good above average defensive skills. They're generally pretty fit and agile, not all of them, but most of them. They just kind of use their feet and get a lot of balls back. And here's the big one. They rely on our errors more than they rely not so much on them hitting winners. And that last one right there with the red box, to me, that's where I can make the most help for a lot of people. This has been my own experience. So let's kind of just keep going. When I talk to my own students about this, I kind of talk about the concept of reverse engineering. Okay, so there's really 2 schools of thought that a lot of players will have on how you beat a pusher. Okay, so the first school is I'm going to beat this guy or girl by doing what I like to do. Okay, so that might work, but if it doesn't work, the other option is I'm going to beat this pusher now by making them do things that they don't like. So here's what I want to say about the screen. If you are there on option 1, if you can beat any day's particular pusher by doing what you like, then that's what I recommend you do. You're home free. But for those days, those times where man, let's say I'm a steady baseliner and I can't outlast this guy pushing. He's giving me no power. I hate it. I'm making errors because I'm trying to overhit. Then you got to really focus on 2. Okay, so that's a lot of what I'm going to try to kind of cover with you. So just a little heads up. So all this stuff came from my strategy book, which I'm pretty sure you're familiar with. It's a book that has 16 different styles of singles players and anywhere from 6 to 7 tactics that are specific to beating that person. So that's where this data comes from. So the 6 tactics, these are Jorge's ideas, right? That work pretty well against the pusher. I'll just list them here. I'll put them all up real quick and then we'll go through them. So number 1 is to work the point. Don't get lured into trying for a winner too early. Okay, that can happen because they never miss. You don't want to play these long points. The only way you can kind of escape this is to hit hard, and then you do it, but then you miss, and then it's a big frustrating thing. 2 is look for opportunities to get to the net and finish, because that's a good tactic against these people, so you're not lured into this baseline to baseline thing, which they probably want. If they're fast, especially number 3 works, hit behind them more. Okay, so these guys are really, you see an opening, the whole cross court is open, you rip it cross court, and they're there. Right? These guys have great anticipation and pretty good movers, or at least a lot of them do. Oh, let me go back. I got another thing is to use drop shots more and bring them in. Why? Because we know that by definition, a pusher wants to live at the baseline. You know, he's not loving it when he has to be at the net. Number 5 thing that might work, a tactic here, is to hit to the middle of the court. This is also really good against the fast player because you might like think Rafa, right? If you put Rafa into the corners, he's fast, he's going to get it. He's not a pusher, but now you give him angles. So you have to be aware about, you know, hitting into those corners, and these pushers sometimes love those angles coming back at you. And then the other one, this is classic, is when you're at the net, use more touch volleys and angle volleys, and don't necessarily just do a routine volley back to them at the net or at the baseline, because this is what they're hoping for. Okay, so now let's go to the next thing. So those were the 6 tactics that we discussed, but now every one of you has skills that you can deploy and that you cannot. So I call a tactic that you can actually use that's something in your toolbox, okay? So let's put these all up here again. And this is the next phase. And I'm gonna give you the PowerPoint so you can, you know, do this for yourself. So as I look through that, let's say I'm coaching you, you're my student, and I'm gonna sit you down and we're gonna work out a plan how to get you to be able to beat the pusher. So I would say tactic number 1, work the point. If you can do it, I'm gonna circle it. Okay, I'll say, yeah, you can do that one. Look for opportunities to get to the net, number 2. Well, let's just say in this example, they don't do that well. But number 3, try to hit behind this player more. Yeah, I could probably do that. So again, we answer this as it pertains to each player. My answers are going to be different. Peter, you're awesome. So you're probably going to be able to circle all these. Some people watching this video are going to be able to circle one only, and hopefully there's no one watching that can say, I can't do any of these things. So number 4, use drop shots. Well, if you do it, you circle it. If not, you move on. Number 5, hit to the middle of the court so you don't let them use their speed and those angles returning to you. And number 6, use more touch and angles, right? So in this example, what you're seeing on the screen is a player that I actually used to work with. I got the person's name in mind, and this is what they could do, all right? So this is basically an audit. We're saying, what do you have right now today in your arsenal, usable arsenal, not just in your head, that you can do? So all these other things, you know, we put them out. So they, you know, they know about getting to the net and finishing, but they, you know, they're saying, honestly, I'm not going to do that. Using drop shots, I know about drop shots, but my drop shots, they don't have confidence, so they're not going to do it. Number 6, use more angles and touch. Like I said, Coach Jorge, I don't like to go to the net, so that's not one for me. So what this means in this next screen is this is what you're left with. The next, if this is my player, the next time he plays a moonballer or a pusher, this is what he can do. All right, he's going to work the point. He's going to try to hit behind him. He's going to use the middle of the court. So pretty smart tactics. So this is a step 1 in how you can kind of do an audit. I love the phrase audit. I'm always doing these player audits, tactics audits, shot audits, so that my player has a roadmap so they know kind of where to go. Okay, so now let's go through all. I want to teach you not just those 3. I'm going to teach you all the tactics. And here's what we're going to do. Tactic number 1 is just a little refresher. It's work the point. Don't try for a winner until you've made at least 4 shots. So this is why I believe this is a good tactic. A lot of times with my students that played a pusher, what happens is they get in this cycle. The pusher doesn't miss. And on top of that, they don't give you power. And you don't want to play long points, or my student doesn't. So they end up kind of going for more winners than they normally would. Maybe not in the beginning, but they get frustrated. Like, I'm playing Peter. The guy doesn't miss. He's a wall. He's a push. And then you get angry, you get impatient, you go for winners. But the problem is it's risky, so you miss a lot of winners. So that's one tactic, just to not freak out and to be able to, you know, play a semi-long point. If I hit 4 shots over, that's going to be an 8-ball rally because the other guy's hitting it back. So the cool part is I don't want to just talk to you here. I actually have videos of me teaching each of these 6 tactics to actual players. So with your permission, I think we'll just go and I'll show you how I teach this tactic number 1, work the point, with our players on the court.
All right, let's head to the court.
Hi guys, welcome to How to Beat the Runner Pusher, okay? I got Coach Nate over here, I'm gonna be coaching him. And today, the runner pusher is gonna be played by Bob, Coach Bob, our coach over there. So Bob, that's your role. You're gonna just play that role, and we're gonna go over a bunch of tactics that'll work against this kind of style. So the very first one I want you to try is this one. It's gonna be work the point, all right? So imagine this, you're playing a runner pusher, Usually how these matches unfold is we get frustrated because these winners that would normally be a winner on other people, they're getting them back. All of a sudden we get frustrated, we try for a more aggressive shot, then we start missing. So first thing is just stay cool and don't go for anything until you hit 4 balls in. All right, so this is just a tactic that has helped me get our players to do better here. Keep in mind, if you're working with rec players, or if you are a rec player and they're playing a runner pusher and the match is unfolding, very often they're frustrated. So this little tactic of 4 balls, I give it an exact number, and then they can go and do whatever he wants. I think this is important, nicely played, because way too many times I see my rec players, because they're frustrated and they think, wow, I can't hit my normal winners, they start going for, they really ramp up the aggression, they go for really too risky of a shot, and they do it too early. All right, there you go, Nate. So the first 4 are conservative, not pushing necessarily, just aim for big spots, aim for the middle of the court. And after 4, then you can maybe start to be more aggressive if the shot is there for you. Oh, good try. All right, so pretty simple. It's not a really glamorous tactic, but it's more of a decision that you make in your head, and it'll really help you get your chances to beat this runner pusher a lot better.
Okay, Jorge, that was pretty cool. Great video. What is tactic number 2?
Okay, tactic number 2 that might work is go to the net more and look for opportunities to finish. The reason I believe this is a viable tactic is because it gets you out of probably the number one thing that remember that reverse engineering idea? What would a pusher want? A pusher would be super happy if I'm at the baseline, they're at the baseline, and I'm getting impatient and overhitting and giving them winners, or relying on my winners. They almost, have to do it. So one of the things you can do is go to the net more, because now that disrupts what they want. I'm at the net, I can finish easier up there. Again, you might say, well, I can't do this one, but this is the whole point. You're not going to be able to do all 6 of these. Probably very few people watching would say, boom, I know how to do all 6, but that's kind of the point. So now I think we should go on the court, and I'm going to show you how I teach these same 2 guys this tactic of how to get to the net more often.
All right, so the second tactic, Nate, that I want you to work on against the runner pusher is try to get to the net more quickly, more often, okay? So the reason is we want to avoid what they love, which is a marathon match, okay? Remember, they're runner pushers. They love to be out there long periods of time running all over, and that can be exhausting. So within reason, we're going to look for chances to get in, be a little more aggressive on your choices of attacking. Try to finish early. Okay, that would not be what time to attack because it was too deep. Maybe not here. Okay, now he goes. Okay, good. All right, that was perfectly well done. So what Nate's basically doing is just, maybe he's changing his criteria. So Nate, normally a lot of people, they would say, okay, if the ball lands short, referring to the service line, that's when you're going to launch, okay? But for against this style of player, maybe you extend that line back a little bit to like 3 more feet. If the ball lands in here, maybe normally you wouldn't go, but against this style you go, because again, you're trying to avoid that marathon match, which is what they want to lure you into, all right? But gotta wait for the right shot, so let's check it out. Good serve. Nice. Okay, good. Watch Nate go. All right, so there you go. You see he got his weight in this little replay here. He's got his weight, he stopped, he transferred his weight forward, and he just kept the momentum going, and he gets to the net and he makes more net appearances. That's really what you want to be able to do against this style of player.
Very good. I think that's a big relief for people who don't want to play long points, but going to the net intelligently. So that's awesome. What about tactic number 3?
All right, so tactic number 3 is to hit behind them more. And this is particularly important if the pusher, the style of pusher you're playing is a really good speedster, they move around well. Because I can't tell you how many times, this happens even at the pro level, you see what appears, you freeze a shot right when it's about to be hit. Maybe you get into the midcourt, you got a good strong forehand you can hit, and the cross court looks completely wide open. You're convinced that's the way to go. And by the time, but the other guy knows too, he's no dummy. So by the time you hit it, he easily gets to it. All right, so hitting behind this person might be a really good option. I'm going to show you on the court right now how I teach that to our players.
Okay, so the third tactic, Nate, that I want you to try against this runner pusher is I want you to think about hitting behind them more often than normal. Okay, this is effective against this style because they're really fast. There's a lot of times you see an open court, you go for it, they're there, okay, because they love to run. So let's go ahead. If you get an opportunity to hit behind them, that's what I want you to do. Okay, nice. And obviously this will only really be happening if the opponent is out near the corners. Okay, if he's in the middle, there's no really hitting behind him. You need him to be kind of sprinting into the open court. And like this could be it right here. Boom, nice. Keep going. There's one behind him. Okay, nice. You missed the shot, but you can see he froze instantly. He was going to be toast on that. All right, let's try to set it up one more time. That's it. So you see Bob had to put the brakes on there. Let's watch that in slow motion. This is exactly the look that you're looking for. When they're really wanting to bust through that open court and they have to stop and put the brakes on like that, that's when you know you did it correctly. All right, so that's a really good tactic, guys. Check that out. It'll work really good against a runner pusher.
All right, very cool. I love these videos, by the way, Jorge. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Yeah. Makes it so much more powerful. What about tactic number 4?
Yeah, so I list that as using more drop shots and getting them off the baseline. This is a really powerful one because one of my pet peeves, you probably heard me say this in some presentations before, I don't know how every player in the world doesn't have a usable drop shot. Because here's why. The way the game has evolved, when I played, 30% of the people I played were attackers or certain volleyers. But literally 100% of the people playing these days, if you're a high schooler and you're going to play 100 matches in your career, if it's singles, you're probably playing literally 100 baseliners. It doesn't exist. Even the all quarter is really rare. So because that's reality, let's just say if I could have a good drop shot, if I can invest in and take a magic pill and have it, that's the pill I would take because it would work against everybody you play. Because baseliners that love to play from the baseline, they don't want to be drop shotted. They don't want to go up. So using a drop shot is huge, and it's really, in my opinion, not that hard of a skill to learn, but it's just got to try it. So let's go on the court, and I'll show you how I teach this.
All right, so tactic number 4 that works really good here, Nate, against the runner and the pusher is hitting more short balls. So let's first talk about where they love to live. If you look over at the other side of the court right now, you'll see that we're lighting up what I call zone 5. That's, you know, the 5 to 7 feet right behind the baseline. That's their most comfortable place to be. They live there, they want to be there, and they're really not so good when you get them into other zones. So if you can hit short and pull them out of that zone that they love, either with a drop shot or a short ball, that's going to help you quite a bit. All right, so again, got to have the right shot to try it on. See, so right from there, Bob is going to love that. That's good. Now watch Bob. He's up in the middle of the court, and he may not like it there, okay? For sure, I can guarantee you, he's going to like his comfort zone, his home base of zone 5. That's for sure what he would prefer. Good. Gotta wait for the right shot. Okay, nice idea. Nice idea. Okay, let's do another. All right, do it again. All right, I like that choice though. He's looking, and again, not every tactic that you try, you're gonna do it perfectly every time. Remember, the whole goal of doing a tactic is it helps you win a little bit more than you're losing. Okay, you don't have to win 1,000,000 times in a row or 100% of the time. Okay, so Nate's gonna try this. There it is. Look at the effect on Bob, good deal. So let's do that slow motion. Look at Bob and tell me if he looks comfortable here when he's running out there and he's stretched out like that. He gets to get the ball back, so that's good on him. But that's definitely what you want him to do. All right, so that tactic is super helpful and it's really powerful against the runner pusher.
I love that video, and that's been a game changer I've noticed since the players are getting better and better defensively. You notice that Rafa, Roger, Novak, the two ladies, Fernandez, who just got to the finals of the U.S. Open, tremendous drop shots.
Yeah, well, here's a stat that, you know, because to be honest, I struggle sometimes getting my own players to just commit to it, right? But let me show you why. I think what the problem that we have is a lot of rec players think that that's not a legit shot. Like, well, pros don't use that shot. I don't want to mess with that drop shot. You teach me, man, how to play an aggressive ripper. But here's the deal. And this year in the French Open, Novak versus Tsitsipas, right? 49 drop shots were hit. 49. But here's the crazy part. That was an average of one drop shot every 6 points. One drop shot every 6 points. And we have people watching this video. You haven't hit a drop shot in 6 months, maybe 6 years. It's just not in your arsenal, but it does exist at the pro level. And the thing is, the purpose of the drop shot, I'm going to just define this for people. This is huge to me. The goal is to bring the person and let them be at the net. That's when you would do it, right? If I feel like the guy is better at the baseline, I hit a drop shot. He gets to the drop shot, but now he's at the net. That's a successful drop shot. If your measure of a drop shot is, no, he got to it. That's okay. If he gets to it, but now he's at the net, that still has value. Way too many people say, well, it's not really a good drop shot unless it's a clean winner. The goal is not a clean winner. That's just icing on the cake. The goal, the proper definition of a drop shot worked, is I hit my drop shot, he had to come forward, and he had to stay there. If my drop shot is so deep that they can run forward, hit it, and retreat, then that is not a successful drop shot. But anytime you get them at the net for the next shot, it's successful. So don't measure it incorrectly, because I think a lot of people do that, and then they go, well, I'm not hitting any clean winner, so I can't do a drop shot. And they're missing the bigger, more accurate definition of a successful drop shot.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Okay, so tactic 5 that works pretty good is to hit to the middle of the court. Again, this is for the version of the pusher that's really quick, because that way you reduce the angles that they have coming back. Sometimes people, you put them in the corners, and counter punchers, pushers, they love it because they can use that angle against you. So let's go on the court, and you see me working with the guys.
Awesome.
Okay, let's go down further. Grandpa Glass alert. Hit to the middle of the court so you don't hurt them. So again, when I do this one, if this is the tactic, I've actually done this one on the court with someone. Let's say that, again, the player we're playing is the runner pusher, the guy that's just super fast and they get everything back, and we can't hit our normal amount of winners, and like, oh my gosh, I'm falling for it, I'm going for winners that I shouldn't because I don't own this shot, blah, blah. So you're going to just say, okay, you're really fast, thank you, congratulations, you're way faster than me, but I'm not going to let you use your weapons, I'm just going to hit up the middle. That's the tactic that I would want, because these guys, if they're really good, how are they when they get in the corners? They're pretty deadly. Rafa, I would rather have Rafa hitting from there than hitting from out there. Why? Because he's a wounded animal out there. He's going to hurt. Keeping me here, the angle's coming back and more reasonable. So I'm not going to show you a drill there other than tell you that's when those runways come real helpful. You play one side is hitting, and you're trying to hit all outside, and the other side is hitting, trying to hit all inside. So you can start controlling. Never thought about that. Boom. That's a tactic you can use. By the way, here's a great thing a high school coach told me about a year ago about my book that's already been out for a decade. He said, you know what I like about your book? I go, no, what? He said, I'm one coach. I'm coaching 8 courts. I get to a court, and they're pissed if I'm not the expert at what's happening on that court already. Like, dude, I've been watching, there's a lot of drama going on here. This girl over here is crying already. She's on my team. Okay, this mom over here is looking at me like she wants to kill me. I can't be the expert. You've been here the whole friggin' time. You should tell. So here's how I coach now. I go up there and I say, what's going on? He asks, tell me what you think, tell me what you think. He asks questions. He says, and then what he'll do is because he had this, he says, sometimes I'll get a parent, the kid will lose, and the parent say, well, you didn't coach my kid enough. You didn't get around to him enough. He has them all in the book. He says, look, self-coaching, right? Doubles, there's a double section, single section. I can come by, I'm going to tell you, hey, listen, I can't stay here the whole time because I got this many courts, but I can tell you right now, she is a runner pusher. Get your strategy book, look up to 2 or 3 things. I'll be back, but probably not going to live here. Ready, go. I thought that was pretty genius to get the nasty parents off your face.
Okay, we're to the final tactic.
All right, number 6 here, use more angles and touches on your volleys. And the reason is, and to me, this is like hugely disobeyed. A lot of people that lose to these people. Here, let me just show you a typical day. I'm watching 3-5 travel team per USA League player. They're playing a pusher. I can almost see what's happening. They're getting lured into these long points. They don't want that. My player starts to hit for winners. Maybe they hit a few more winners, but they hit a few more errors, so that ain't working so good. So they go, screw it, I'm going to go with the net because I don't want to get lured into this marathon match with this pusher. And then they get to the net, and every volley they make is directly back to the guy at the baseline, which is where they want to be. Okay, so the ability to hit touch volleys, drop volleys, soft angle volleys is huge. And that, again, is not a skill that's that hard to learn if you just do it. If you're not doing this, this is a huge miss on your part. So let me show you how I teach this to players, and we'll go on the court.
Trick there. Okay, use more angles and touch in your volleys. Okay, so here's a game for that. Amanda, you and I can just demo real quick. You can go back. So against a runner pusher, here's what I don't like. If someone gets to the net and you volley into the open court, worst thing ever. Now they're hitting a running passer shot. That's kind of what they're famous for. What I really want to see, just rally with me for a while. I don't want the ball going back all the time. What I really want to see is my player be able to hit, not back to them all the time, but this kind of junk. Touch. I don't have touch. I really don't do that well. I kind of know about it on paper, but I don't dare try it. So here's the deal. I'm going to mix this game into a game called over-under. Basically, if I'm making contact over the net, I generally tell my players hit deep. And if I make under, if I'm hitting under the net, those are your opportunities to hit angles. So watch me. I'll say it, by the way. This is over. That's over. That's under. Oh, that shank was almost perfect. Okay, again. So this is a simple drill. You could be doing this over, under, not much angle, and then we just keep playing. And just that alone, just that little nugget, now they feel, okay, I got something I can try. I don't want them going hard angle when the ball's up here. I think that's harder for most players. But when the ball's low and you have to hit up anyway, when your racket face has to be open, you put a little angle on it. That's, again, one more time. So that's over, sorry. That's over, that's under. And you start putting some targets and you just let them try it. Again, you could tell them, bring them in the classroom, give them a sweet PowerPoint, it ain't gonna matter. They gotta earn the touches on the ball, and that's how they get it to where it's deployable.
Okay, that is great. So I see that next up we have a what not to do list. So let's roll into this.
Yeah, there's really 3 things. That's really how I laid my book out. I give you 6 tactics and then 3 things never to do. So against the pusher, beware, don't get lured into trying to go hit winners, okay? These players, you know, it's the most common mistake that people make against these players. They are banking on us being impatient, and they're really needing us to make errors. This is how they typically win. It's not that they hit winners, is that they lure us into going for things we can't do, and then all of a sudden we make errors. Second thing is don't get discouraged. I got so many people say, man, I hit all these great shots and they kept coming back because they're pushers. They're low risk by nature. So just expect that they're going to run a lot of things down. They're going to make a lot of balls back, and you're going to have to kind of play a more patient and longer point. So don't get discouraged about that. Number 3 is don't use shots that you don't own. So no matter how bad you want to finish the point, perfect example is this. I just had this happen maybe a month ago. One of my players was playing the push. I could see, you know, this is a high school match, by the way, in Michigan. They were getting super frustrated. Oh, I can't believe. So what does my player do? They start attacking the net. That was one of the 6 options. The problem is they can't play very well at the net. So they chose an option that they couldn't really deploy. So just because they know what it means to go to the net doesn't mean they can deploy it well. So in your attempt to get out of that, you know, frustrating, you know, moon ball rally or push rally, you might want to try things to finish, but make sure those things don't actually make it worse or less likely for you to win. It's super important to do things that you can deploy.
I love it. And it's one of the things that I kind of talk about, which is, it seems like a theme of your whole strategy here is, it seems like when people play pushers, because there's this mindset of like, well, they don't have game. I've got a lot more game than they do. You keep trying to push your game to the limit to think that you're going to start being able to deliver those knockout blows. And you basically get more and more frustrated. And very few people think, which you're pointing out is like, look, don't put so much pressure on yourself to constantly come up with skillful shots. Put the pusher in a situation where they've got to make skillful shots, and they don't have many tennis skills.
Yeah, and the cool part is we don't really have to invent this tactic. I mean, it's pretty universal, the things that work against various styles of players. So generally when you're playing a pusher, well, there's a couple for sure. We opened the slide presentation with that. They like to play from the baseline. They're pretty quick. They don't have a lot of power. They're relying on us. We go for the fool's goal, which is like, I'm going to hit a winner. And here's the deal. Most of us watching are good enough that if we start going for winners, we're going to hit a few more winners. It won't be like you miss 10 out of 10. And that's unfortunately, but if you look closer, you might say, well, I'm making 5 out of 10 or 4 out of 10. So generally it's not good. It's raising your level may be the wrong choice, and a better choice might be to lower their level, kind of this concept of sabotage. But it's all about, if I have in my history, whatever, 100 people that lost to pushers, of my students have lost to pushers, probably 90 times the number one reason they lost because they got frustrated and they started overhitting, going for winners, and they missed too many, and they walked off the court, and they're so frustrated because visually the pusher looks no good, and they're like, I suck. I'm going to give up the sport. I can't believe I lost to that guy because of the appearance of the game, and the stroke might be pushy and not very impressive looking, but impressive looking.
On. Are you there?
Yeah.
For a second, the stream went out. So, where did it go out? That was. I'm just going to say it. Hey, Jorge, for the last maybe 30 seconds you went out. So can you just repeat a little bit of what you were saying, and we'll make sure we edit it cleanly.
Sure. So we're talking about what not to do. You want me to go all 3 of these here?
No, we did the what to do. That was good. So
okay, we were on that last one. Don't you shot, you don't know.
Yeah.
So one way to look at this is, let's say I have, in the course of my life, this is probably higher, but 100 of my players have lost to pushers, right? So if I take that sample of 100, losses to pushers, and I break down into it, probably 90 of those losses were specifically because my player was frustrated. They didn't want to play these long rallies, having to generate their own power. So they started going for winners or doing things they can't do, and then they end up missing. And then on top of that, they have this huge wave of, bad feel. Oh my gosh, I can't believe something about, in their eyes, this isn't really true, I don't think, but in their eyes, losing to a pusher, someone that looks visually poor, like their strokes aren't pretty, is a little bit more tough on the heart than just losing to someone that might hit hard. So it's this whole weird dynamic about playing the pusher, but it's all comes down to, it's not about me and what I want to do. It's more about what they like to do and what I'm going to make them not do. So think about the other side of the net, not so much your side of the net.
Yeah, this was a fantastic presentation as always, Jorge. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
No problem, buddy. I appreciate you inviting me, and I hope that some of those videos and concepts are helpful to people. If you're a pusher out there, I still love you guys. We're not trying to ruin your lives either, but it's a very difficult style to play against and to get wins against.
Well, remember, a lot of people don't like the pushers because they lose to the pusher. So if you're out there, probably the most famous pusher in the world right now is MEP, the most exhausting player on the Tennis Troll channel. And he relishes in that. He loves it that he can beat players who on paper or aesthetically look like they're better, and he can take them down. So because it's not easy to do. So you got to have the right tactics, and I think that this is awesome. And Jorge, if you could just tell us a little bit of what you're up to these days and where we can find you and all the awesome stuff that you have.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So basically, I'm here in Michigan, and I have my foot in 2 worlds. I work at a club. You can see I'm here at my club right now. We're on a campus at a college called Hope College, and I'm the manager, and I run the programs here, and I run a professional tennis management school. But all my content is really into 2 different websites, and both of those websites, instead of remembering 2 websites, just think capestanytennis.com. If you go there, you'll see the player's website, and you'll see the coach's website. I got this really big website with drills for coaches and a whole nother website that's all free for content and stuff with players. So yeah, capestanytennis.com. And then I'm just living the dream. I'll be going to Vegas here for the USPTA World Conference shortly, and I'm traveling again a little bit, speaking at different conferences. So yeah, we're getting back to normal, hopefully.
Yeah, and guys, definitely go follow Jorge. Whether you're a coach or a player, go to his website. I just ran a clinic out in Cincinnati. I think it was the best one we ever did, and I actually signed up for your tennis drills TV.
All right.
I didn't even talk to you about it. I really was like, I've got these drills, they're good, but I want to do something different. And so I wanted fresh content that maybe I haven't thought about. So
Nice.
I respect you. I love what you do. And it was a whole bunch of fresh ideas.
Nice.
And I did a lot of your drills, Jorge, and the people loved it. And it was fun for me to do. You're always doing similar things, but you're doing it in a different way. So it felt fresh to
Right.
me. So I was more energized. And so definitely check
Love
out
it.
his stuff. There's so much good things out there.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, I appreciate the plug there. But yeah, guys, thank you again, Peter, for letting me be a part of this again. And thank you for everybody tuning in. And hopefully you got some good usable stuff here that you can try in the next few weeks.
Okay, guys, watch this video over and over again. Again, every time I see Jorge's presentation, I'm impressed. And I'm like, the lifetime access pass, if you just have Jorge's lesson for the rest of your life, that is worth it right there. So great stuff. Thank you again. And best of luck to you with everything, Jorge.
All right. See you, everybody.